Hello, Blue.
I was dancing.
We were all dancing.
I love the trailer so much. Or is that what you call it? Not the trailer, the intro?
Yeah, intro, outro. Amy put that together. She's a tech whiz.
She's really good. I mean, I was actually thinking, I was like, I guarantee you that she made that countdown thing.
It's all on Canva. Canva's magical. You can do this there.
Canva's cool.
And then I put the little people in the corner because they're funny.
They're super cute. I love them. They look like you guys. I'm like, yeah, I know them. Those are my friends.
So welcome to the Bloom Room, everybody. As you can see, we have Amy E. Reichert. Am I still saying that right, Amy? Reichert. I want to say Reichert. Okay. And Amy Reichert is the acclaimed novelist of 5 books.
Yay!
With a foodie bent. They are heartwarming rom-coms. And her latest has a starred book list review, and that is the Kindred. Why do I do this every time I'm going to say this?
It's a mouthful.
And it is out today. Could you hold that up again for us, Amy?
Yes, it's the Kindred Spirit Supper Club. Well, you can use our Brandy thingy.
Cheers to the Kindred Spirit Supper Club. And I'm so excited because I remember when we were all kind of like voting on this title behind the scenes, and this was my winner. I mean, it's such a good title, and the cover is just amazing. It's all around amazing. So cheers to you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited.
Or that this is empty because I'm going to fill it soon.
Oh, that's right. Okay, good. That's gonna be good.
All right. Then we also have the USA Today bestseller, Kristy Woodson Harvey, author of 7 novels, and her latest, Under the Southern Sky, received a starred review from Publishers Weekly. Both ladies are launching today. So we have a double Poppy launch.
Yay! I feel like we should have an air horn. Woo!
And we want to know, Blooms want to know, how are you guys celebrating tonight? Amy, what's on the agenda for the evening?
Well, funny you should mention that. Other than being here with amongst my favorite peoples, I am going to show you how to make a brandy old-fashioned sweet, which is the very important book recipe in the book. Mm-hmm. So you start with a fun little cocktail glass. This is my I'm old-fashioned glass.
Love it.
And you are going to put in an orange slice. And normally I would put in simple syrup, but I ran out because I made old fashions last night and used them. So I'm just going to put in a teaspoon of sugar because it's the same concept. Then you want to put in, I put in 2 cherries. And
can you show us that jar? It's like a really fancy kind of cocktail.
Yeah,
there we go.
They're premium cocktails.
Those are beautiful. Those are not like the super red, like sticky ones.
Yes. So they are like a really dark red as opposed to the maraschino cherries that are like glowing.
Right, like that you put in a Shirley Temple or something.
I'm not sure that you digest those either.
No.
You find them in your colon like 50 years after you're dead or something terrible like that.
I think that's
anyway,
okay.
So appetizing.
And I let a little bit of juice go in there. I'm going to cover it right away because otherwise I will knock this jar of cherries over. And then I put in Angostura bitters. I can't say it. This is made on the island of Angostura. It's a secret family recipe. There's only 5 people in the world that know this recipe.
Wow.
10 dashes.
Where is this hidden secret place? I've never heard of this island.
It's an island. Oh. Angostura is one of the small Caribbean islands. I think it's down closer to Trinidad.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but it's like a mixture of like.
I've never heard of that, but it sounds really fancy.
Well, any bar is going to have this. This is what they use in old fashions. They use this in Manhattans. So this is a really common bar staple. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to put in a shot or 2 of brandy. It's lunch day, so it might be closer to 2.
Yeah, I mean, you need to celebrate a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a long day.
We're not going to fight you on that.
No. So fun fact, a lot of brandy old fashions in Wisconsin are made with Corbel brandy, which is not an expensive bottle of booze. In fact, this bottle of brandy is cheaper than this bottle of cherries.
That is so on brand for you, and I just really want to point that out. It really is. Like, I don't mean the cheap, but I mean just mean like the absurdly expensive cherries. Yes, they're like the best ones.
And then, I didn't put my brandy.
Why we're friends, by the way, which is why we're friends.
Yes, I forgot the brandy.
100%.
So, a nice little pour in there, and then you kind of, I'm not going to use my spoon for this. I have an actual little muddler.
Oh, fancy.
You kind of muddle it together so that the cherries get squashed and the juice in the orange comes out.
My husband would like this a lot. He's a big old-fashioned fan.
So normally, and then I'm going to put ice in here. And now normally, if you ordered an old-fashioned anywhere out in the country, they would stop at this point. And it would probably be made with whiskey as opposed to brandy. I'm just stirring that up a little bit. But in Wisconsin, we take it a step further and we either make it sweet with a Sierra Mist or a Sprite, or sour with like a 50-50. So I'm making a brandy old-fashioned sweet and I'm pouring in the 7-Up. So it makes it very
a little splash, kind of.
Delicious and like a cultural experience all at the same time.
Exactly. And then garnishing is very important, so we have to put an orange slice on it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for letting me show you how to make an old-fashioned.
Cheers. Heather and I are showing you how to make rosé and champagne.
Kristy, how are you Well, I'll let you have a little sip there. She's been working very hard today, you guys. Lots of events. We are so thrilled to have her here on the Bloom Room with us.
Oh my gosh, I've been so looking forward to this. Like, I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I'm so impressed that you've been doing this. It's so much work, I know, and it's so fun, and I just love it. I'm so proud of you guys. But it's been great. So it's been a really fun pub day. I don't know. I had an in-person event today, which was incredible. It was a luncheon in Greenville, South Carolina, and it was so fun. And then at 5, I did something at Browse About with Christina Lauren. And then at 6, I did something in the Friends and Fiction Official Book Club. And then 7, I was at Warwick's with Liz and Lisa. And then now I'm here with you guys. So I've been celebrating all day long. It's been really fun. It's been really, really fun. I'm going to sleep superbly tonight.
Yes. And I had a bunch of stuff yesterday. Well, you have bunches of stuff every day. But I had my official launch last night.
Fun.
And then today I had Instagram Live with Robin.
Oh, I love her.
I could talk to Bonnie for hours.
Like, about not anything on topic is my problem. I get so off topic with her, and then I'm like, wait, people wanted to know what the book was about? Oh, we've been talking about The Real Housewives for 30 minutes.
So because
she's just so fun. Like, she has so much to say, and she just knows everyone. And I'm like, oh, tell me about that. And then,
I could talk to, So I told her she needs to come, and we're going to go out to a supper club, which is really my blanket invitation to the world. Come to Wisconsin and we will go to a supper club.
I would really like to do this because I have not had that experience. So that'd be really cool.
You would love it.
Heather and I are coming.
Absolutely.
I will say that one of the reasons that I've had so many events is because we had planned like a real tour, like a whole tour, which was really dumb. But we were like, well, then if this whole COVID thing, like, it'll long be over by next April, when we were planning the tour. So then it was like, oh, it's not really over. But a lot of places were like, oh, we have this number of people, like everyone will have to be vaccinated if they want to come. They weren't like testing you at the door or anything, but like we trust people, whatever. So, they were like, how can we do this? How can we make this work? And so there were like a handful of places that were like, no, we really want to still try to do a live event. And it's gone really well. I wasn't sure how it was going to be, but it's been really good. And Michelle wants to do that as an event. Amy, I like that.
Oh, I missed it. What did it say?
Supper club. We're all going to come to Supper club.
Oh my God, yes. Well, I've been seeding this into all the interviews I've been doing locally, is that I want to pair up with some restaurants and do an event. I think it could be a really great fundraiser for some sort of local cause.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the chefs could make dishes from my dishes. So this is a
good idea. I love it. And you did, and thank you for including me in that amazing like foodie list that you did, because
you have a beautiful food thing that you've been like sharing with readers, Kristy, I think, that has maybe your book design on it.
Can
you tell us about this?
That wonderful segue. So a lot of you know Ron Block. He's a librarian at the Cuyahoga County Library, and he sent me these beautiful Under the Southern Sky cookies. And so when Amy said that she was going to show the Brandy Old Fashioned that she was making, I said, I'm going to show my Under the Southern Sky cookie that I am eating because
I know you eat that.
I've already had like 3 today. It's like really, we were on our way. So my mom drove me to Greenville today. It's like 2.5 hours away. And I'd had like a smoothie for breakfast, but we like weren't there. And I knew I was going to be speaking when I went in, and I was like, I am starving. And so I was like I was having Ron cookies and like, but it's good. It like keeps you going. You know how you're like kind of tired and you're like, I need some sugar. Like, let's keep it going. So they've been very welcome surprise.
And they're beautiful. I remember one of the things I was most excited about, it wasn't for my first book. Because your first book, you're kind of spinning and it's just all so exciting and you're kind of a mess. But for my second book, I had a cake printed with my cover on it, and it was just the coolest thing ever. I just thought ever. Yeah, like it really ever. And so these cookies are so beautiful. They're fun, and
they're really pretty.
It doesn't really get old, does it?
No, it never gets old. It really doesn't. It's funny how like each launch is kind of special. If anything, like I think I'm getting more neurotic about it. Like, don't you think that we should get like better? And I feel like I'm getting worse.
I was an absolute wreck this week and leading into it. I don't know why. I think here's my theory. I think it's because we understand how the system works.
Yeah.
And we understand all the pieces that need to fall magically into place for a book to become a success.
Right.
And we know that sometimes winning the lottery is better odds.
Right. No, and I think it wasn't even like I couldn't pinpoint it. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm nervous about this or I'm worried about. It's nothing like that. It's just a general state of like neuroses. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's fine. And the day is almost over. It's gone great, and now it's kind of like okay.
Now it's time for the fall, which is why you're here.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we're talking, we're excited about these books. I think we need to talk about the books a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So, Kristy, can you please tell us a little bit about your new release, Under the Southern Sky, and maybe a fun little anecdote or something that we don't know that's not written on the cover but happened behind the scenes?
I just want to say before you talk how much I love this cover because I want to be beautiful to that woman.
Yeah, like right here. Yeah, we just need to like hang out with her where she is.
Plus your cover people. And that red font is mwah.
It's a good cover. It really is. I think it's it really like encapsulates the book very well, I think. But Under the Southern Sky is a story about an investigative journalist named Amelia who's working on a story about what people do with their leftover frozen embryos after they have, completed their family. And she accidentally discovers that some frozen embryos belonging to one of her childhood friends and his late wife have been deemed abandoned. She's kind of snooping around and finds out something she shouldn't. And she knows that he does not know this because he would not have let this happen. And so she has to tell him, of course, and then he has to make a decision about what to do with the last remaining part of this woman that he loves so much. So we get to hear from both of them, and then also Greer, who is Parker's late wife, from her journal entries, and then Amelia's mom, Elizabeth, who is cheese curds. I'm sorry, I'm going to finish, but I need to talk to you about cheese curds in a minute. Who is her good Southern meddling mama who has like all these ideas about how her life should turn out and how everything should be. And all of these characters have a secret. And as those secrets are revealed, what ultimately ends up happening to them comes to light. So I'm trying to think about like something fun. Like what is something that I have not talked about this book that's like kind of fun? Okay, I want Amy to go and then I'm going to come back to that so I can think about it.
But then we're going to talk about cheese curds. We can take a little segue too.
Yes, and we'll talk about cheese curds. Yeah.
So I'll talk about my book first. So the Kindred Spirit Supper Club. Oh, there it is. Isn't the duck the cutest? His name is Norman.
It's the cutest cover, like just all around. It is really it's a really good cover.
It's very good. They did a good job.
On Instagram, which is something they think about when designing covers now.
Well, you got to. It's real.
You gotta. So the Kindred Spirit Supper Club is about I just want to point out to everyone watching, you can tell when Kristy and I go into our spiel mode, our voice changes.
Mm-hmm. We're like, And I try not to. I'm like, keep it, like, say something different. Don't be so canned. But
you can't. And then, because otherwise you just go off track and you don't ever get to the plot.
Well, listen, luckily you're both infinitely interesting, so it's all good.
Thank goodness. So Sabrina Monroe is my main character, and she is forced to move back home for a variety of reasons, and has to confront the figurative and literal ghosts of her past. Her family has a secret that the women in her family can see ghosts, and they help those ghosts with any unfinished business that they have left. Unfortunately, there's one ghost that they've never been able to help. Her name is Molly, and she is Sabrina's very best friend. She's also a rom-com loving ghost. There's nothing creepy about my ghosts in this book. They are delightful and funny and charming and sometimes a little cantankerous, but they are not creepy. And because Molly could never have her issues resolved, she is determined to help Sabrina find her happy ever after in life. And when there is a handsome new supper club owner that moves to town, Molly takes it upon herself to do everything in her power to get these two together. So it is a story about love. It is a story about finding out who you are and accepting the people around you and kindness. And it's just a wonderful, comfortable, cozy little romance.
And lots of great stuff about Wisconsin that I did not know, which was really fun to read.
Okay, so here's what I need to know, though, about this book. And this is like a serious question. Can you see ghosts?
I cannot. I'm not sure I even believe in ghosts, though I think this is now, by me saying that out loud, that is inviting ghosts to come and haunt me.
Yeah, I said this in, let's see, it's probably 2014. I was at like a writer's conference. It was where I met Anne Garvin. But it was before Dear Carolina had even come out. It was in Charleston. We were staying at this really old hotel. There were all these paranormal writers talking about all these things. And I was like, I don't even believe in that. Like, I could tell you a 10-minute long story about all the ways they proved me wrong that weekend.
Wow.
It was terrifying.
So
I fully believe in ghosts, by the way, you two.
What?
I fully believe in ghosts. I think it's really that we're all composed of energy, and that matter can be neither created nor destroyed according to the laws of physics and science.
I like
so
that.
when you die, you just change, like your energy changes shape. It doesn't.
And maybe some people, they don't kind of fully evaporate into
I met a psychic medium on a plane one time, and she told me that there's like a lot of things in between. Like we have these very like, there's earth and there's heaven and there's like, we have all these like names for things. And she's like, there's really all these different layers of things that, it's not quite as, I met her on a plane. Like, I don't know, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Yeah.
I actually believe that. I think I've had some serious encounters myself, and I'm not going to say them out loud on this show with everyone, but I've had several, including being in a house of a friend who I couldn't be in the back of the house at all. And it freaked me out. My friends were teasing me because they know I don't like horror and I don't like any of that stuff. I'm very sensitive to like just sensations and energy, and I could not go to the back of the house, and I just kept running, and that's where the bathroom was, and we were having wine, so I had to have a friend walk back there with me. Okay, so then we found out about 3 weeks later that the horrible stain that was covered with a rug in the back of the house by the bathroom was a double homicide of a mother and a daughter. And it was just some guy that had followed them home from somewhere, and that the house needed to be cleansed. And that friend of mine actually moved out of the house not too long after that. But she did have a shaman come and cleanse the house. And that is a true story. And any of my friends will back me up on that. They mercilessly ragged on me because I was like, I can't do it. When they would want to have a dinner party over there, I'd be like, I don't know. I'm getting the
come to my house.
Right?
I'll host. Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it was something. And that's one. That's one story. I have kind of a few. So I don't know.
Well, Susie was talking about the ghost tours. There's a ghost tour in Beaufort where I live, and I don't ever want to go on it because I'm afraid they're going to talk about my house, and I don't want to know.
Yeah, that's probably, you know what? It's just as well. If you're not feeling it, then just that.
Yeah, I really don't in that house. I really don't. And other people have said they did, but I don't. So
are there people that do think your house is haunted in Beaufort, or you're just?
I mean, I think they're just people that are like, no, nothing can be there for that long and like not have something going on. But I feel pretty like, I think I'm kind of sensitive to that stuff, and I've always felt totally fine in that house. So
yeah, like when the hurricane came through and like wiped out your house,
it just cleansed. It just cleansed it of all the ghosts.
They were released.
They were released. All the spirits were released through the roof. That's why it flew off, because all the ghosts were coming out.
Kristy, oh my God, you went through so much when that house was hit by the hurricane.
Oh my gosh, and it was right. And then I came to you guys in Chicago. Oh, that's right. That was really funny.
You were moving like every few months to a new rental just so while you were waiting for that. I just felt so bad for you. You were constantly packing up everything you owned and moving. It was just so horrible. I don't know how I think you had a book launch during that too. I don't know how you did all that.
I did. It was so crazy because my husband and son had to move in like the middle of it. Bless their hearts. It was fine. My house is haunted by old Easter eggs. That's true. Do y'all know that story? Y'all, this was my old house. This is actually not the house that we live in now. But when little Will was like 2, he was really into the Easter eggs that we dyed. And so my husband and I thought like after Easter, we had gotten all the Easter eggs up. We'd thrown them all away. And there started to be this smell in our house. I mean, obviously, like I checked his Easter baskets, right? Like that's number one thing that you would do. We had, so I knew everything was fine. They were all plastic eggs. It was to the point where people were coming in to take walls out of our house because they were like, something has died in here. And that's the only way we're going to get it out because it's going to take too long to decompose. Well, come to find out, he had found like the big golden egg at one of the Easter egg hunts. And because he didn't want to get rid of the eggs, he was like 2.5. So like you don't have the process. Like the eggs are going to decompose. He puts 2 of the real Easter eggs inside the golden egg. And the only reason that I knew it is because I was cleaning stuff out of his playroom, which is where they were going to start tearing the walls out. And I dropped the Easter basket, like it fell out of my hand and the golden egg fell like on the floor.
Oh God.
It was so horrifying. But all that to say, it was really fortunate because the minute it was gone, like the house smelled totally fine again. Like it was like it just whoop. Like, but it was, I mean, it's funny now, but at the time, like it was serious. We were like, we're gonna have to move out of our house. Like it was really,
we have rats in the walls.
Yes, like we have like, but they were like, no, this isn't a rat. They were like, there's like a dead like cat. It's like or like a fox, like something
dead person buried somewhere.
Like something big. I mean, it was bad. And anyway, they couldn't find it. It was gross. So.
Well, that is gross, but I'm glad it was easily resolved without the walls being torn apart.
Megan, you were going to be fine. I'm sorry. We should not have talked about ghosts. Good one. And if you read Amy's book, you'll know that ghosts are they're friendly and
they're lovely. They want to be
benevolent.
Except for things in cemeteries, but that's just because they're crabby.
Megan's not going to the cemetery tonight.
You're fine. You're fine. And I have it on good authority that ghosts do not haunt people that live by themselves. So you're safe.
So you ladies, are you able, so you're very busy at the moment, but we're all sort of ravenously reading stuff. Yes. What are you reading right now? Or do you have something you can recommend that you're interested to dig into?
Mm-hmm. I can go first.
All right.
So I think it was, I can't remember where I've recommended what, but I'm really big on this author's first book, Aisha at Last. So her second book, Hana Khan Carries On by Uzma Jalaluddin. This is her second book. It came out last week. I mean, this cover.
Another beautiful cover. Love it.
Gorgeous.
I'm just going to read you the first line of the description, and I think you're going to understand why I need to read this book.
Okay.
Sales are slow at Three Sisters Biryani Poutine. It's got the word poutine in it. What more do you need to know?
Immediately.
That's your soul book right there.
This is my soul book. It is ultimately about rival halal restaurants, and then there's a romance. So come on.
What's not to love?
For me.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to read this. I loved Aisha at Last. So, and I'm really excited because I get to do an event with her next week at the Ripped Bodice. Well, not at the Ripped
Oh,
Bodice.
fun.
On the internet.
Fun.
I know I say that now too. I'm like at the blah blah blah, and then I'm like, well, I'm not going to be there, but we're going to be.
So I'm so excited to read that.
Kristy, what are you reading?
Okay, so the last book that I read right before I left, that I finished right before I left, is The Newcomer by Mary Kay Andrews. And it's so good. And it's like part mystery and part women's fiction. And you want to turn the pages, but you're also like deeply invested in the characters and their relationships. Sorry, I just like had a little hiccup there. But it's so good. I mean, it really is. I've had one sip of wine. So I think I'm just like, it's like my diaphragm is like, don't talk anymore.
I think you've had 5 hours straight of events. So
but no, it's a really great book. I love it. And honestly, I'm not reading anything right this particular moment because my edits for Christmas in Peachtree Bluff are due. And so I am reading this fantastic manuscript by this girl named Kristy Woodson Harvey.
It's coming out this fall.
It's coming out October 26th, and it's so cute.
And you're coming back. You're coming back to the Bloom Room to talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah. We're excited about that. Yes. Okay. I just got this. I have not started it yet, but I am very excited to dig into Pam Jenoff's brand new book, The Woman with the Blue Star. She's a tremendous writer. She's a lovely person. And if you've ever been to any of her events, she's a great speaker. She's a lawyer by day and a mother, and I have a great time listening to her deliver her book talk. She's got that pizzazz. But it's set in the ghetto, the Krakow ghetto during World War II, and it's actually a novel of friendship, two young girls who help each other through a difficult time. So I'm excited to dig into that.
That's awesome.
So I have a fun story about Pam that I have to share.
Okay.
The first time I met Pam, we were at one of those regional bookseller conventions. Mm-hmm. And it was a movable feast, so they pair authors together to talk to a table of booksellers. And we were paired up. And at the time, I was promoting Luck, Love, and Lemon Pie, and she was promoting The Orphan Train.
Yes,
that one. So it was really funny because I would go first. I'm like, this is a lighthearted book about marriage that falls apart but then comes back together, and it's funny, and there's an Elvis in Las Vegas and and then she would start her spiel about, well, there's this train and there's a bunch of orphans on it and most of them are frozen dead. And we had the best time. We had so much fun.
And ripping on each other about the differences in your books, Yeah. You take turns pitching each other's stuff.
What an interesting pairing. I mean, I'm kind of like, did someone maybe think like, maybe we should, I mean, it worked, I'm sure.
It worked, but it could have been very bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it wasn't like you and Pam, like two authors could have been in that situation that it could have gone very badly. But like it was you and Pam, so it went really well because y'all were both great and fun.
We had the best time. It was so much fun. So that is my Pam Jenoff story, and I love her dearly. She's wonderful.
She's pretty great.
Awesome. She's one of the first authors that I like really knew, and she was so nice to me. And
yeah, she is a great one of those people. And this is now turning into the We Love Pam Jenoff show.
Yes, this is the Pam Jenoff praise hour.
But she's just one of those great people who is such a good example of how authors can reach out and spread the love and support other authors. And I have to say that this is another shout out for someone who does the same thing, Jodi Picoult. This morning, she on Twitter just simply announced all the books releasing today. She announced yours.
Wonderful.
I mean, there's like 8,000 books that came out today.
Yeah, it was a big day.
You have to do that. No. And it was just a nice shout out. And she tagged everybody, and it was just really lovely. And you love to see that. And it's such a good example for other authors because you got to spread the love.
I just feel like our community is so generous. We really help each other out, and we read each other's books, and we go to events together. And I mean, really, it's a handout, right? All the time, I feel like people are helping me, and I'd love to pay it forward,
I think that's one of the things I love the most about the Poppies, because I always have good intentions. Like I always want to like help everyone, but for us to like be able to come together and be organized about like, it's so-and-so's launch, this is the date, like, here's what, like, here's your book, like, read it, figure, I mean, it's really good. I think that's so great because it keeps me like on track and organized of like, oh, it's this pub day, because, things can just go by and you forget,
Absolutely.
But how important it is and how great it is when other authors help you on your pub day. It's a big deal.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I need to circle back. You had questions or thoughts about cheese curds, and I want to make sure we
Yes. Okay. So I feel like I could potentially have told you this story, but I don't know. So you can stop me. But you and I, we had talked about cheese curds before, and I have read your books, and you would talk about cheese curds. And I remember like texting you. It was actually in one of the I swear, I think it was one of the random rental houses that we were like living in. Because I remember texting you and being like, "What's a cheese curd?" Which is like when people text me and they're like, "What is?" Like my editor the other day was like, "What's a bubble outfit?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's like a little thing that like little kids wear, and it's like tied around their little chunky thighs." But like I just thought that everyone knew what a bubble outfit was, but evidently that's like a Southern thing, right? But I don't know it's a Southern thing because I'm Southern. Kind of like Amy's like, "What do you mean? What's a cheese curd?" It's a cheese curd, So I text Amy and I'm like, "What's a cheese curd?" And she's like explaining it to me. So a few weeks later, I'm on book tour and I go to this restaurant. And I mean, I must have been in the Midwest somewhere. I cannot even for the life of me remember where it was, but it was this great restaurant. And they had cheese curds on the menu. And I was like, cheers to Amy Reichert. I'm ordering the cheese curds. Like I'm doing it. I'm diving in. And they were great.
Were they deep fried?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's deep fried cheese. Like what's not to like?
So I actually have a bag of cheese curds.
You do not.
Because
we did not plan this at all.
Not.
No.
Because yesterday I did, because I'm hosting Bloom this week, as all of you know, because you're probably already sick of me. But I did a live demo of how to deep fry cheese curds, but I didn't use up all the cheese curds. So I was starving before the Bloom room. So I brought them upstairs to eat them as a snack.
It's incredible. I mean, it really, but it is so funny, like just the cultural things that like we all live in the same country. You would think it wouldn't be that different, but I didn't know what a cheese curd was. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's a large country though, there's
big country.
Yeah. And now you guys know what a bubble outfit is. So thank goodness.
But do you know what a bubbler is?
I do, because it's a thing they say in Rhode Island. Oh, they say it in Wisconsin too, don't they?
They do.
It's a water fountain.
I was going to say, I've heard you say this before.
Bubbler, but they say
bubbler.
Oh,
yeah, I've gotten some really strange expressions.
Okay, but this drives home a point that I was making to someone the other day, because they said, "Will you ever write about other regions beside the South?" And I was like, "No, because I will get it completely wrong." Like I would say, "So-and-so went to the water fountain," and everyone would be like, "You fraud."
Because you do your research and you're a great writer. Well, you totally would do great at it. I do different cultures all the time,
Well, I know, but it's different to do different. I think it's different. You're writing about a different time period. You're writing about, I think that's a little bit different. Like, and I'm reading and I know people are very quick to write letters if there's like one little thing that they perceive to not be correct. But I'm just thinking about, I would get it wrong. Like I would say something wrong. My phraseology would be wrong. Like no one from the Midwest has ever said this thing that you said, so it's just.
Yeah. Well, that does, and that does happen on occasion, but honestly, very rarely, I think. And you would do your diligence, I think. You would research.
I would try. I would try.
Yeah, you would.
I would try.
You would.
And now I'm eating cheese curds, just so you all know. So
yeah, okay. So can we talk about this real quick? I have had cheese curds, but the first time I had them was in Canada on poutine with shredded chicken and gravy and peas. And they don't fry the cheese curds. They just, it came out and I was like, whoa, I didn't know what I'd gotten into. It was this big mound of fries with gravy. And they don't fry the cheese curds there. At least
no, not
the ones I saw, they did not.
No, poutine, they just sort of sprinkle it on top. But
yeah, I've had that too. There's a place in where we used to live that served poutine, so I'm familiar.
Okay, yeah, so it's quite different from the Wisconsin variety, I think.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah. They've just not. I imagine there is a place in Wisconsin that does poutine with deep fried cheese curds, because why not?
Right. Just if you're gonna just commit, like go all the way. Don't
gravy. You got fries.
You need to
cheese curds.
Commit. Yeah.
So before we wrap, Kristy, I think you were going to share a little something behind the scenes with your book. Can you tell us about, I know you started this entire, and this is probably, it's not the Peachtree Bluff series. This is a different book.
This is just a standalone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Kristy had this amazing Peachtree Bluff event in her entire town, because she does not mess around.
No.
She does an amazing job, and she creates these enormous events. And I know that there has to be, and maybe not that, but there has to be something like when you started writing this, an inspirational moment, or it threw you for a loop moment, or a.
Yeah, no, for sure. And there were like two different friends that kind of inspired this story, just with stories from their own lives, and who said, I'm going through this, you should write a book about it. And so that definitely was like the spark of the story. But like setting wise, actually one of the rental houses that we lived in was kind of at the end of a peninsula and on this marsh. And it really did inspire the setting of the story, because I wasn't even very far away from my house, but it felt very, very different. And there were these like live oak trees that sort of grew sideways toward the light. And it was a pretty spot. I mean, the book in this story is like this big rambling like family home that sort of, it's like dilapidated because no one can really keep it up, and no one really wants to let it go. The house we were living in was not that was not it, but the setting was absolutely, and the house was cute, but the setting was absolutely beautiful. And so that really inspired a lot of it. And in the setting that you read about, and we had fun there, and it was great. And it is kind of interesting to look back and be like, oh, this is where I was in my life, and I was writing this story. And so there is something to that for sure. And I've told this story, but there's this part in the book where Parker and Amelia are kayaking through this thing called the maze, and that's real, and that's where we were living. It's called the maze, and it changes like every day. And if you're not like super local, you cannot navigate the maze. Like you will get stuck, your boat will get stuck, your kayak will get stuck, whatever it is, because it changes like, maybe not every day, but all the time. You have to learn how to navigate it. And so my son was like, he was 7, but he was so good at it because he would get home from school and grab the kayak and like go through the maze. And I was like, oh, I want to go through the maze at night, but I am not local because I was not born and bred there. I cannot figure out how to do the maze. So I woke him up at night and was like, hey, like take me out to the maze. And we went, and it was so fun because it was like dark and quiet and the moon was out, and it was really, really fun. And it really inspired the scene in the book.
Oh, well, now I can't wait to read it.
I cannot wait either. Yay!
Well, thank you, ladies. It was a wonderful episode of the Bloom Room. Congratulations on both of your launches.
Thank you.
To everyone out there, thank you for joining us. We're going to drop links to the books in the comments so that you can find them, possibly the cherries as well. And the maker of book cookies.
Oh yeah, I will. Yes, I will.
We'll put a link in the
so pretty.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you
all. Good night.